Hello, everybody. We're back. Hope everyone had a happy new year. We got the whole gang here tonight. Stephanie, Blake, and Jackie still overseas, I believe. She's up early or late with us? Late, early?
She's
She's
she's up
up.
late. She's up. Well, I guess it's morning there now.
It's morning, yeah. So she's up early with us. So I
Yeah,
hope
it's
everyone's
1
doing
a.m.
good. How's everyone? Everyone having a good new year?
We did.
Been cold and snowy.
Cold and snowy. How's
We
the
got a
weather over
blizzard
there,
on.
Jackie?
Um, it's cold, but not as cold as like the Northeast would be. It's just the sun doesn't come out a whole lot. It's very,
Oh, really? Huh.
yeah,
Okay.
sometimes it's like 3 weeks without seeing the sun, and I'm not joking.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say this, and I'm probably gonna get laughed at, but it's been freaking cold here in Florida.
That's what I heard.
Our high today was 25 degrees with a wind chill that felt like 15.
Yeah. It's
So
all relative, I guess. Right? Where are you
Yeah,
at?
but we're
Yeah.
used to warm weather, so it's like ugh.
and,
But
and I
anyway.
went to the grocery store. I went to the grocery store yesterday in a sweatshirt. So
All right. So, like Chris said, we're back. We're here to answer your questions. If you have questions, put them out there. If not, we're bouncing so we can go watch the football game. And, but we're happy to help you guys. We're here for about an hour if that becomes that. If not, we will move on. Before we get started, we'll put the disclaimer out, Chris, and then we'll kind of talk about a few things and then we'll get into seeing if there's some questions or not.
All
So
right.
we'll go with the disclaimer. All right, guys. So for the live Q&A disclaimer, we are not accredited agents, VSO attorneys, or entities recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs, and we're not affiliated with the VA in any way. We do not assist veterans with preparation, presentation, and prosecution of VA disability claims for VA benefits. This Q&A is solely for guidance purposes and should not be considered medical or legal advice. So basically, we're just here to answer your questions to the best of our abilities. If we cannot answer your question and it becomes a little bit longer, we'll ask you guys to email it to us at our email address that Chris has put up, and we can always go from there in the email. Um, Also, keep in mind that we are here to help you guys. If you don't need any help, we're going to be gone. But with that said, a couple things have come out around the VA. One of the things is, and I need to try and see if I can expand this, make it bigger because it looks really tiny. Hold on, will that make it? Nope, that makes that littler. Hold on, guys, that's making that one. How do I make this bigger? All right, let me go over here. Make this bigger because it's trying to make my screen over there bigger. Oh, oh, there we go. Is that getting bigger? Can you guys see that now?
yeah, a little bit.
Okay. So this is just one of the things we're going to try not to touch on too many things at once, but recently the VA expanded the GI Bill benefits for veterans who served multiple periods of service. I'm not very familiar with it because I didn't get to use the GI Bill. If anybody in the group here knows anything about this, feel free to share. But I did put this in the Facebook group, and this is straight from the VA, but apparently it is expanding up to 12 additional months of educational benefits. And it is including the Montgomery GI Bill and the post 9/11. Do any of you guys know anything about this? Because
Nothing.
I've not used it.
Yeah. I actually was just talking to one of the TAP transition guys about this. So, their
Okay.
current guidance about the eligibility criteria is that you served more than one enlistment. You have to have at least 1 day left. If you have like the post 9/11, you have to have at least 1 day left of entitlement, and you had to have paid into the Montgomery GI Bill. So usually on the DD 214s, it will be labeled as MGIB, $1,200, and then if you did like the kicker, which is $600, but yeah, essentially, if you meet that criteria, also having a good discharge, that you would be potentially eligible for 12 months of entitlement. VA's been sending out rolling emails to notify veterans who are potentially um, eligible for the additional education benefit, to
Oh,
make them aware, and they should be getting notification in the mail within the next few months. I think it's going to take like 6 or 12 months. I think that's what VA said to roll it out, but they should be
okay.
contacting most people who are eligible.
And then, so like I said, guys, this is in the Facebook group. It's also on the web. You could literally just Google this and it'll come up. But that's just one of the small things I wanted to talk about. And also, the other one was, and I'm just briefly touch on this. And Jackie, you can maybe briefly touch on this. We're getting a lot of buzz in the group about this. I've gotten a lot of messages. I know that um, the VA made some additional presumptives for cancer that now allow veterans to file for benefits. This does include the VBA and the VHA side. Am I correct? Like the changes to the cancers, adding them.
Um, well, I guess it would matter if you were service connected for it. Maybe you didn't meet the healthcare requirements for it, but yeah, they added bladder cancer, including the overlapping sites of the cancer, which is incredible because when they added cancer to a presumptive Agent Orange, they weren't allowing those outlying areas, and it was awful because you would have somebody that had cancer in like the urethra, like right there, like half a centimeter from the bladder. Any doctor would call it like a type of bladder cancer because the cells are the same type of cells, but they couldn't service connect it until new guidance came out. So it's really incredible that it's also the outlying areas of the bladder. So urethra, uteric orifices, and the uterus.
Well, and some of the other things too is some of the veterans been asking too in the group if they previously filed for this and got denied, which I think I'm correct on this, that the date that it went into law or was signed as a presumptive, they can't go back to when it was denied previously. They just need to do a supplemental and now file for the presumptive.
So they can. We have been seeing in recent years that a lot of times if you claim something like this and you're denied, you had the eligibility criteria. A lot of times VA will send letters out to solicit the claims. But since this change just literally happened, there's interim guidance that the VA released. So I would expect more forthcoming information soon. But when the laws change, it takes time to implement and get the guidance on what to do with them. And then
Right.
also in regards to what they will want to assign for effective dates. So
Okay.
VA is still waiting for that final guidance to come out. Just like PACT Act. PACT Act passed August 10th, 2022,
Yep.
but VA didn't start working those claims in January. I don't think it will take that long for the bladder cancer at all, but um, you know, they need time to react to the changes.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, those were just like a couple things that I wanted to share while we were on here. Um, as I mentioned earlier, if you're listening and you have questions, I see we've got like about two. It won't take us very long. If you have questions, please go ahead and drop them now. I understand some people are joining us. If you have any questions, drop them now because we're going to be done as soon as the questions are done. So, with that, I think that was all I really wanted to share tonight. I know a couple things happened within the VA over the holidays and stuff too. So I kind of just wanted to kind of throw that out there. And oops, I think I did something wrong with the sharing. Wait,
It's all right.
okay. All right. So with that, I guess just keep in mind, put your questions. If we can't answer them fully or take too long, email us. Um, be mindful if you are asking a question, ask a question so that we can kind of understand so we're not sitting here trying to wait for your next comment. We just would help us if you have the question in its entirety. All right.
All right, ready to go?
Yep.
All right.
Hi, all. Submitted. This is from Brian T. Hi, Brian. So I submitted my first claim on July 23rd, 2024 for asthma and chronic bronchitis. After reviewing my military medical records and private medical records, I now have an upcoming CMP exam. I think this is a two-parter. Does this sound promising for a rating? In addition, my private doctor has written a nexus letter stating that it's more than likely a result of my service. Who wants to take this first?
Not enough information there.
Yeah, there's really not. You know, having the doctor write the statement, it's more likely or not, is, great, but to accompany Nexus opinions, they also have to have sufficient rationale. So, obviously, there's other mitigating factors. Are you a Gulf War veteran? Because those conditions can be presumptive. If not, we can speculate all day, but without review of the entire evidentiary record and having your medical records available, it's really hard to say.
And without seeing your pulmonary function testing, whether or not a rating is there or not, remember 0% is a rating if it's service connected. But if your PFTs aren't bad enough, they're not gonna rate it any higher than 0.
Which is a non-compensatable, right? And the fact is, like what Jackie was touching on too, is if it's presumptive, then that's a different situation. But also, if you're going for a CMP exam, I guess there's enough. I guess Jackie, there's enough information at least to develop for an exam to send the veteran to the exam as part of the overall claim. I think that's where he's
most
going with
times
it.
that would indicate.
Yeah. So, I mean, to really kind of answer your question, Brian, it's kind of a neutral. It's not a, oh yeah,
It's
you're going to be
better than
rated.
it's better than them denying it without an exam.
Yeah.
So
So the fact you're going to an exam means there's probably cause for the exam, because they wouldn't send you to the exam if there was total lack of evidence to support a claim. So when you go for the exam, and I'm not sure how an exam goes because I'm not familiar when it comes to bronchitis and stuff. If he doesn't have a PFT, I'm assuming he would have to do one of those during the CMP exam. So
yeah, more than likely.
Usually not for bronchitis.
Chris, I
Unless it's
think he has a
medically indicated.
caveat to this. He put a caveat to his, I had chronic bronchitis for 4 consecutive months in the military records, and I was vomiting mucus.
Okay. Well, do you still get chronic bronchitis? Because in order to be evaluated or to be compensated for condition, you need to have proof of a current disability. So if that was acute and resolved after 4 months, then no, you really wouldn't likely be eligible.
Because having it for, so what Jackie's trying to tell you is just because you, and I tell this a lot to the veterans, just because you had it in service doesn't mean it's going to be service connected. You have to have a current chronic disability of that disability that is connected to what you had in service, meaning you have it now and your doctor is stating what you have now is due to what you had in service and connecting those dots. So without having, if it was acute, like she said, and it went away, then that's one thing. He says, oh, I'm on daily preventive inhalers and also use a recuse inhaler.
A rescue.
Rescue inhaler. I'm sorry, recuse. You know what I'm thinking? Rescue inhaler. I mean, it sounds like you've got the disability now. It sounds like your private doctor gave a favorable nexus. So when you go to the CMP exam, just make sure, I tell veterans to prepare before they go. Just prepare yourself before you go to the exam. Know what you're going in for. You know, if you want to bring anything with you to the exam, bring that with you. If the doctor wants to look at it, they'll look at it. If not, make sure that evidence is in your overall claim, and then keep us updated on the exam. Okay, next question. The smooth operator. I like that name. 3. I'm filing for an increase to my 10% back. When I went to the DAV, he put me in for a CMP exam. The VA has been sending me to chiropractor for the last 12 months. Do I still need to upload evidence? So right now you're currently rated at 10. So the next higher rating, reason I ask is because the doctor is a community provider and he never asked me to sign any release forms at the DAV. Okay, there's a couple things here. So first of all, you're rated at 10% currently. So you have to prove that your back has gotten worse. The next higher rating is 20%. The back is rated on flexion extension, ROM, and pain. So you have to have evidence, again, as the previous gentleman asked, you have to have evidence currently for your service-connected back that it's gotten worse and provide that evidence. So if you're going to the chiropractor, okay, great. Did you provide that evidence? 2, have you gotten worse? Did you provide your personal statement, what your daily life is like since you got rated for your back, and show how your back's gotten worse? As far as the DAV, I'm a little bit thrown off on that, Jackie.
Well,
DAV doesn't
he
have much chance.
more than
So,
likely he signed a power of attorney,
Well, yeah.
and the power of attorney
but
can request the records.
if it's community care, VA should have access to the records. Of course, it's not a bad idea to get them yourselves because unfortunately they're supposed to send them to VA for community care, but sometimes they don't. So if you got a copy and uploaded it, but I mean, you're putting in for an increase. So, the hard work's done. You're already service connected. It doesn't matter if you submit statements or anything else. Your lay statement saying the condition is worse, and VA is likely going to just send you for another exam to evaluate it.
Right. But the DAV doesn't put in for an exam. The DAV put
No.
in for the increase for you to file for the increase, and most likely you're now going to a CMP exam for that claim for the increase to your back. So you just have to remember that when you go for the exam, don't push through the pain. Go to the exam, be truthful, be open, be honest, but stop when there's pain. Because a lot of times I hear from veterans, oh, well, I pushed through it because I just felt like it. Just do the exam. Once you're at the pain, then stop. But the exam is obviously going to be so that they can evaluate you to see if you have gotten worse or to see if you're going to stay the same. Depending on how long you've been rated. I mean, I don't know what the next one would be 0. So like that would be non-compensable if you were to be looking for a reduction, but I'm highly doubtful that would be something you would be contemplating. So it sounds like you got a good representative. So if you got an exam coming up, keep us updated on that. Okay. I think we got one more question. If you got any questions, if you're listening now, you have any questions, now is your time to put those questions down there because this is, I think, our last question and we're not going to hang around, people. So if we have questions, we'll be here. If not, we out. All right, next question from Rano Fam. I just had a CMP exam and my examiner wrote that I didn't have diagnosis for certain things on my DBQ when I do in my medical records and even am prescribed and take mainly what can I do? Not enough information. No idea what you filed for. No idea what the exam was for. No idea what these certain things are. They don't know.
If you disagree with the decision in your 1 year, within 1 year, you can file an appeal. Or you can file, if you're more than 1 year, you can file a supplemental claim.
What are we talking about?
For if he gets denied because they weren't there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
you can talk to your VSO and you can request another CMP. I requested another one real quick.
I did too.
So
That's a good idea. I mean, I've had CMP exams go bad too, and I've reached out with a personal statement to insert into my claim stating what happened at the exam, why I felt personally it was not a good exam. And then I asked for another exam, and I actually got one myself, as like you, Blake. I got another one because I think the rationale or the remarks or whatever were insufficient. So I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but the rater, the person doing the claim, sent me for another exam. So if you've already seen your CMP exam and your claim's still pending, it sounds like you've got somebody that's able to see your exam, and you were able to also see your exam with them. So I would talk to them and see if there's a way for you to get another exam. But I don't really know what the exam was for or what's going on there, so it's really kind of hard to answer that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll say it might be a short night.
Yeah. Nobody has any questions. Oh, I think we
Jackie,
got
you can go
another
back
one.
to bed.
I think we got one more.
Who do you send the letter to? That's a good question.
Okay. So it's not really a letter. So I'll elaborate on that, Jacob. So you can use a VA 21-10210, and you could submit it up QuickSubmit to go with your claim. And you can state your personal statement as to what happened at the exam, why you think the exam was not good, and request another exam.
Where do you upload it again?
QuickSubmit.
Where's that at? People might not know.
www. I think it's
If you just Google QuickSubmit VA, it'll pull it up.
most everybody. It's been a while since I filed a claim, but hold on. Most everybody who files claims now, it's a portal. So hold on, let me see if I can bring it up real quick, and then you could share the screen. Most
And you can
Well,
everybody.
also call the 1000 number and do, they'll
Yep.
do like a point of
An
contact and put it in
820.
records. So the rater should be reviewing that before they rate the claim as
Hold
well.
on, Chris. Let me see if I can show this to you. Here it is. Go ahead, share the screen. So let me see if I can blow this up. So it's basically you just Google QuickSubmit with the VA. You go in and sign in, and then you go ahead, and once you get into the portal, you can upload and attach links. So you could upload the VA 21-10210, which is now the personal statement, layman's statement, witness statement, and you can provide it that way. Or you can do what Jackie said. You can call the 800 number. You can ask them to attach a notation. Is that an 820? I believe it is. You can ask them to attach that.
Oh, wait,
Provide
20.
820. Okay. Oh
and
wait.
and if he's working with if they're working with a VSO that's been able to give them copies or be able to see their exam with, he can just ask them to do it also. That's how
Yeah.
I do.
And then make
Uh,
sure you get proof that they did submit it for you. Make sure you get a copy of it.
QuickSubmit should set an email confirmation they can give you. While you have this up,
Yeah.
it's probably worth noting you see all these different login options. Those are going away at the end of the month. VA's transitioning into more centralized login options.
Yep.
So they'll be using login.gov and ID me. And
Yeah.
um,
It's good to know. Let me see if I can pull this. Can I make this any bigger? There we go.
yeah, so you won't like be able to log in with My Healthy Vet.
Right.
VA PIV card is for internal employees, but yeah, you're going to have to do a login.gov or ID me. So if you haven't set that up yet,
And if you click there, you'll be able to do
you
it.
should do it now before the rush at the end of the month.
Yeah. I already did it too, but that's QuickSubmit. Jacob, just for your information, I don't know if you knew that, but that was a good question to bring up. So, all right. Next, I guess we got another question. All right. David Gardner. Hey, David. So my VSO is retiring in April. Should I try to find another VSO or go it alone? I understand what a fully developed claim entails. That's a personal choice. Um, if if your VSO is retiring and you don't want to use another VSO, I mean, you can certainly do your claims yourself. An FDC, a fully developed claim, is not that hard to do. I mean, you're basically submitting your evidence, but I think it's more of a personal choice. What do you guys think?
I think so too. But if he currently has one, the question I guess I would ask is, does he still have some pending claims out there? And if that's the case, then hopefully whatever organization he's using it to the VSO will transfer him to somebody else so they can still see his claims and still see what's going on.
Do you know how that works, Jackie? If a VSO retires, does somebody else automatically take over?
In most cases, so it depends if they work like officially for like the organization, or are they a volunteer at like a VFW, an American Legion,
I
or
would say
whatnot. So,
mine
uh,
worked for VFW and he died during COVID, so they
yeah.
just
So
transferred me over to somebody
with
else.
if they actually work for the VFW, like through a post, and that they're the post service officer, then they'll be replaced because it's a mandatory position within the organization. Now, if they're like a more of like a national organization working officially for VFW, again, that because of the structure, they should have a replacement. But
Right. So, I mean, it's really more of a personal choice, in my opinion. All right. So, I think the smooth operator had some follow ups to his. He says, when I left the military 9 years ago, I had the 10% for the back. My increase is due to I now have arthritis in the same area and I want a chronic pain diagnosis. I've heard chronic pain is oh, here we
Mental
go.
diagnosis.
Will I need to go to a separate CMP exam? So there's a lot to open up here. So, my first question to you is, are you currently rated for mental health? That's all I want to know is a yes or no on that. Secondly, what you're thinking is a mental health secondary diagnosis can be what's called SSD, which is somatic symptom disorder. And it is something that can be secondary due to um, mental anguish from chronic pain. But if you have a mental health diagnosis currently and you're rated for mental health, that's why I was asking that question. Did you
it's
want to?
going to depend too if it's systemic pain. So when I say systemic, I'm talking like full body. That more closely meets the criteria for like the chronic pain, somatic pain syndrome. If you just have chronic pain in your back, pain
That's already
is
included.
considered when the VA evaluates your back. It's considered. So if you just have chronic pain in your back, you really wouldn't qualify for the other condition. Now, if you have an overall pain condition that is more systemic, then it's possible, but pain will be evaluated with your back if it's just in that area.
And remember, I mentioned it earlier. Um, Chronic, when you're going for a back increase, it's ROM, flexion, extension, and pain. Just like Jackie said, pain's included.
And arthritis.
So you have to distinguish. So um, that's why I was asking you one about the mental health, and then she was two explaining about the distinction of the chronic pain. So um, if you're going for an increase for the back, and it's solely the pain is in the back, the chronic pain due to the arthritis for the back, then it's already included in that rating. Okay. Jacob, okay. So Jacob's following up. If you have several claims pending, how do you submit your evidence on QuickSubmit so that it calls out your evidence for the condition you are claiming?
You can't. So
Well, if you have
some
claims,
people will look at the file names, but that's not really like a thing. So what happens is when you submit your documents on QuickSubmit, um, it will go get assigned to somebody and they'll review it, and they're supposed to appropriately label it and mark it in the system of what it is and how it relates to the claim. So QuickSubmit doesn't currently offer personalization like that.
so you would have to just be very thorough on the statement that you were putting, like maybe atop the claim that you're associating the statement to. For example, if it's related to your back disability claim, then you would put your, this is for my back claim filed on, and put the date, maybe like at the very top, and then put your statement, something to help distinguish that. So,
I think it's also helpful when so like if you have 5 different conditions you're submitting evidence for, I would separate all the evidence into each one of the 5 conditions and upload each as an individual file, vice throwing everything together in
yeah,
one file, because then there'll at least be some separation and it's easier for them not to miss something.
yeah. Okay.
All right. David Gardner came back again with the VSO question. So he has
Yeah.
one pending and plan to submit 2 additional claims. I'm not one pending with the VSO, and I'm not sure if he's going to do the 2 others on his own.
I'm currently 40%. And then he's got another caveat. And yes, there are other VSOs in the organization, but they are very busy. Well, then it sounds like you've answered your own question.
Well, it takes 3 months to get into them. If you make an appointment now, that's 3 months when she retires. So there's really
Just
no
make sure to
skipping.
get, if you have to wait, like just ask them to get an intent to file in the system for you, or call the 1000 number and they can put an intent to file in the system for you, so you can preserve the effective date for, you know,
Right.
accrued benefits. So at least if you had to wait 3 months, it wouldn't be at your detriment.
I mean, I certainly would do that too, because if you've got one claim pending, I don't know how far along that claim's pending. I'm always a firm believer of putting the ITF in and letting it sit. I know Jackie and I have disagreed sometimes. Sometimes Jackie will say, yeah, just go ahead and put it in. But I mean, just put the ITF in. Sounds like you pretty much know what you're doing regarding the claim. So, and it sounds like you're not happy with the VSO. So maybe just do the claim on your own and do what we're saying is put in the ITF and then file the claims down the road after this one claim that's pending is finalized. And then you can go from there. All right. Any more questions?
Does not look like there's any more questions.
If anybody has a question, now it's time to ask. Otherwise, we are going to go watch football. And
Watch
Jackie's going to
football.
go to sleep.
Jackie might go back to bed.
I don't know. What are you going to
What
do,
are you
Blake?
going to do, Jackie? What are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do, Jackie?
Definitely going back to bed.
I'm,
Definitely going back.
He's barely hanging on right now.
I might watch football. Hey,
Okay.
Steph, look in the queue. Look in the queue on the questions submitted.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Why?
Well, I don't. There's one in there. I don't know whether or not to approve or not.
Okay. All right. Who's it from? Just first name so I know.
Hold on, Robert.
Okay. David, you're welcome. I'm glad we could help. Jacob, the smooth operator. I really like that one. Thanks for coming on. I mean, I see there's about, a ton of people. Well, not a ton, but a handful of people. But we will have another live. I think we're planning on doing one in a couple weeks on the 28th. We're gonna try a different day. We're gonna try Tuesday next time.
Yeah, we're kind of bouncing around in times and dates, just trying to allow people different access to, some people have different schedules.
Yeah.
And
So
we always like to get Jackie up at midnight. So
right, we're trying not to get her up at 2.
It was 1 a.m.
it was 1 a.m. Okay. What's an hour?
Crap. It's 1:30 there. Jesus. All right. Well, thanks guys for coming on.
All right. We'll see everybody later. Take care.
Later.
Bye. Okay, bye.
Bye.